One of the first things that I like to do when I'm meeting up with a new believer is to take them through the parable of the sower in Matthew chapter 13. The reason that I do this is because in this parable, Jesus presents basically four types of people and how they respond to the good news of the kingdom. I want this person, as a young believer in Jesus, to understand what happens from here on out, or what the possibilities could be in terms of their relationship with Jesus. And so we start by looking at Matthew 13 in verse 1, where it says that a great crowd gathered around Jesus. He went to a small boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood on the beach, and he told them many things in parables, saying that a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away. Other seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seed fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let them hear. Then I'll ask the student that I'm sitting with, what do you notice about this passage? And they'll share some different things that stand out. I mean, the passage hasn't really explained itself at this point. But probably the most noticeable is that you've got a few different places that the seeds end up. The first one's the path. The second one is the rocky ground. The third one is the thorns. And the fourth is the good soil. Well, obviously, Jesus' parable is not yet explained, so I'm going to have them turn ahead in Matthew 13 to verse 18, where Jesus begins to explain it. And I'll have the student read through this. So reading in verse 18, they'll read, "Hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it." So this person here hears, but does not understand. The evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. That is what, this is what was sown along the path. So the first one you see here, as we said, they hear, they don't understand, and the evil one snatches it away. So here we have what happens, their response, and the ultimate result. And I might ask them, what do you notice about this one? What kind of person do you think that this would be? And the pretty clear answer would be, yeah, someone that might get exposed to the truths about Jesus, but they don't comprehend it, they don't internalize it, for whatever reason, in whatever way. Satan may distract them, he may get them caught up in someone else, but it never germinates, it never takes any sort of root in their life. Then we go on to the second example. It says, "As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives with joy." Yet he has no root in himself. So he endures for a little while, and when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the word, immediately he falls away. So he hears with joy, but there is no root. So then, as it says in here, what comes along is tribulation and persecution. And what that results in is they fall away. So I'll ask them then, what do you think is this person right here? What's true of this person? They hear, they receive it with joy, but they have no root. What's that all about? So I'm asking them the question, do you think this person was really legit in terms of what they believed? We'll talk about that and discuss it a little bit, but I think the conclusion is when you look at it, is no. It was great at first, but when things got a little bit tough, they were very quick to abandon it. Why? They didn't have any root. There was nothing solid about them. This might be a person that just kind of like, yeah, they come to church or they say, yeah, I'm about Jesus, but maybe they're a bandwagon Christian. They're doing it because others are doing it. Maybe they like just some of the joy and perks that come with it. But they're not really committed to Christ. They're there in the good times, and when the bad times come, as it says here, they quickly fall away. Let's go on to the next one. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word. So this person also hears. Notice everyone's heard so far. This one hears the word. But the cares of this world and deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. Okay, so a few things come along with this. The thorns, which basically are equal the deceitfulness of the world. And then as it also says, the deceitfulness of riches, sorry, and then the cares of the world. And the result is that it's unfruitful. Okay? So this person hears, and they receive it, and they are embracing it. The implication here doesn't say directly, but they have root, but it's unfruitful. Now I'll ask this person, what might be true of this person? They hear it, they embrace it, they're living it out, but there's distractions. There's other things that are getting in the way, other things that are taking priority. The cares of this world, that could be all sorts of stuff. Cares about what I do after college, cares about getting a boyfriend or a girlfriend, cares about money, which is deceitfulness of riches right here. Those things get in the way. The focus is taken off of God. The focus becomes on other things, and it becomes unfruitful. Notice, too, that the analogy here is thorns. And I would ask the question, is this person a legit believer? That's kind of a tricky question, because as I understand it, they're not legit in that they're the believer that God intended them to be. But it also seems here that they do have some root. There is some potential growth that they're experiencing, and even by the sake of analogy, if you took away the thorns, they would produce fruit. So I would say this describes, in most senses, just a carnal Christian. Someone who may have Christ, but they're living the ways of the world, and it is keeping any fruit from being produced in their lives. So one key distinction I want to point out here is as Jesus tells the parable, it seems that you kind of have a break between legitimacy here. That clearly not a Christian, acted like a Christian, but they truly weren't. Is a Christian, but isn't acting like a Christian. They're caught up in the world. And then finally, the good soil. Let's take a look at that one. It says, as for what is sown in the good soil, this is the one who hears the word. Once again, they hear and they understand. This is the first one where it says that they understand. He indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case, 100-fold, another 60, and another 30. He bears fruit. One case 100 times, another 60 times, another 30 times. So as I'm talking to a new believer, the point that I want to make for him is if where they are right now, the question is, where do they fit in this? Now, there's a possibility that they weren't legit about their faith, and maybe they're just kind of like, did it because of peer pressure, or did it for the wrong reasons, or their heart wasn't really in it. And they would be over here. But I would also point out, if they were sincere about their faith, the question is, which one of these two are they going to be? It's not worried about the path or the rocky ground. It's if you've really received Christ in your life, the question is, are you going to be the thorny Christian, or are you going to be on the good soil? And we'll come back once again to the difference between these two. This person really is caught up in other things, and Jesus becomes secondary. This person truly understands who Jesus is, what he's done, putting him first, living for him, serving him, and they bear fruit in their life. And I'll ask them, which one of these ultimately do you want to be? And my hope, and what most people will answer, is that they would say, I want to be the good soil. I want to hear, I want to understand, I want to bear fruit, I want to grow, I want to be who Jesus wants me to be. And then I'll also ask, what might keep you from being good soil? Well, the thorns. And so I'll ask them, what are the cares of this world that you easily get caught up in, that maybe will distract you? And I'll have them list those things out, I'll write them down here. But ultimately in this, there's a main question I want to ask them. And that is, if you desire to be the good soil, can I come into your life and keep you accountable and help you pursue that? Can we have a relationship where I can be honest and we can be honest with each other about the thorns in your life, the things that are getting in the way of that? And can we walk together and can I help you connect in community with others in Cru that'll help you be the seed in the good soil, the one that bears fruit, the one that grows and produces a crop 160, 30 times? Because that's my desire for them too. To be the one in the good soil, the one who grows. And this is where the foundation gets laid down for the rest of our new believer follow-up together. I'm now alongside someone that understands that God desires them to be in good soil. There's things that get in the way of that. But together we can run after Him and being the person that Jesus created us to be.